Welcome, Kevin Sudbeck, Chief Safety Officer for S3. And today we want to take a minute to look at how ChatGPT can help you specifically with drafting a safety policy that is compliant with Part 5. Now what I've done is I've typed in a draft FAA Part 5 safety policy for S3 Air, a fictional airline, air charter or 135. And what I've done is put in the elements of our Part 5.25 and 27, and I've made it as detailed as I can so that it drafts a pretty detailed policy. And so what I've done is I've given it some basic safety objectives of, lowering calibrated tool escapements, lowering foreign object debris damage, just kind of run-of-the-mill things that are general in nature, a commitment to provide necessary resources, a clear statement. These are all right out of Part 5. And I just wanted you to show how quickly that this will draft it. However, there'll be some issues. So let's get started. Let's let it run. So as you can see, it's starting to spit it out and types way faster than we can. It also throws up the draft question on the side there to the left. But and so it's slowly going, or I should say quickly, going through the things that we've asked it to do, and it'll put in your name on your certificate, and then it'll address some, and it's used to writing things in a business letter format. So that took all of 30 seconds to draft. So let's look at it piece by piece. It didn't, normally it starts with like a beginning paragraph, but in this case it didn't do it. However, it did jump right into safety objectives, and so S3 is committed to maintain highest standards of aviation safety because that's one of the things that the FAA would like to see in your safety policy. But then the other thing it does is rolled out the objectives. So conducting safe aviation operations. The only thing is it throws in there in accordance with all regulatory and industry best practices. So I would delete out the regulatory because that's really the FAA's purview. They're going to tell you if you're meeting regulations or not. And by maintaining your certificate, that's how everybody knows you're maintaining regulations. So it throws in there extra things that you may not want. And of course, there's the reducing occurrence of calibrated tool escapements through stringent quality control and procedural adherence, minimizing FOD through FOD prevention programs and inspections, and reducing the risk of bird strikes through proactive wildlife hazard management strategies. Now, some of it can be vague because you will address it in other procedures or policies, and they'll be in hopefully in your GOM or GMM or any other procedural document you may have. And that's what you have to do now, is line it up to your documents. Now, of course, you have to have the commitment to resources and manpower. So S3 recognize that achieving our safety objectives. It'll spit out some flowery language because it likes to, it's kind of set up to draft business letters. So it likes to spit that stuff out. Allocate necessary resource to fully implement and in accordance with and then through continuous assessment, improvement of safety protocols, training programs, compliance. So it is, as you can see, it's pulling stuff out of the Part 5 and the advisory circular. All employees are required to report any safety hazards concerns they observe. Reporting can be done confidentially without fear of retaliation because that's, part of the program that's in the advisory circular. And then reports should be submitted through designated safe reporting system. So I didn't put in what reporting system, so it didn't know what to say. So it just says some reporting system. So that's where you'll have to go through and clean this up and put in whatever you're using. If it's Baldwin, if it's WBAT, if it's an Excel spreadsheet, FormSite, whatever you're using. And all the reports were reviewed and acted upon in a manner. Then it talks about the unacceptable safety behaviors, zero tolerance for unsafe behaviors, not limited to drug use, negligence, willful disregard for safety protocols. I didn't tell it to say that, but I've done this a couple times and it always adds that. So again, you have to line this to what you're really doing. Emergency response plan. So you're not writing the emergency response plan to safety policy, but you are committing to do it in accordance with Part 5.27. So S3 has established an emergency response plan to ensure a safe transition from normal to emergency ops. It doesn't talk about transitioning back, but the FAA doesn't require that. So we're just going to stick to the compliance requirements. However, I would recommend that you have some type of crisis management plan, because that takes you from emergency operations back to normal operations. An ERP is a procedural plan that takes you from normal operations to emergency operations. A classic one is an aircraft accident. So if that happens, you're transitioning from normal ops to emergency, and then you're doing all the things you have to do if it's something that requires an NTSB investigation and the FAA is involved. So you have to do all these steps about collecting data, providing it, being a party, and things like that. And I just threw in the Nome Airport because if they're a Part 139 airport, they have to have a safety management system, and they're now a external stakeholder, and they're an interface. So you have to communicate with them, and you have to have a plan to do that, how you're going to share information. Then we asked it for a code of ethics. And I said it needs to come from the president of S3 as accountable executive, because they have to sign it and date it, and then you have to review it annually. And so it just spits something out. You'll probably need to edit this to fit exactly what you want to tell your customers and the external facing people, but it needs to be something that stands up to FAA scrutiny. So as you see, it can be a useful tool to do the drudgery of typing out what probably would take somebody, 5 to 30 minutes, depending on how fast they type, spit it out in 30 seconds. Now, I did have to type this whole paragraph in, so that took a few minutes. What we'll do is we'll probably figure out how to attach this as a PDF form, so you can cut and paste, you can pull it down, cut and paste it, and that way you can start playing with ChatGPT. It is an account that you have to sign up for, and so you have to sign in. You have to have a username and password, usually an email, and so that allows you to use it in a manner that aids you in developing a safety policy. Haven't used it to develop anything else because it's not as useful for that. You can use it to develop other policies, but you really got to type in what you want it to say, and then you need to go in and edit what it typed out for you, because it will add things. It'll, again, it's AI, so it's trying to anticipate what you may want, but the devil's in the details, so you want to do that. The other time I did it, it threw in some flowery language that it's like, no, you don't want to do that, because with the safety objectives, which is why we're back here, you want to have objectives that are tangible, and that they have, in the sense of, you can collect hard data on it. So when the FAA comes in and says, how are you doing with reducing the occurrence of calibrated tools? You say, in our general maintenance manual or in our CAS manual, whatever manual, we are auditing or assessing our program by inspecting it monthly, weekly, every other week. And so we've done 25 audits or inspections of the program. We found an instance of only 2 times where the tool was not calibrated or beyond calibration or something was off, but we have a 98% success rate. And so now you can show the FAA, hey, those safety controls are working. And as long as they don't view it as a systemic issue, then they'll give you the thumbs up. If you say something like, yeah, we've gone in 25 times, but every time we see the same thing, they view that as systemic, and then they're going to want to come in. It'll probably be through the voluntary disclosure program, a VDRP, and they can force that on you. So that's why you want to work hard on putting safety objectives that help you gather data and convince the FAA that your safety controls are working. And they also convince you that your safety controls are working. But again, we're coming from the viewpoint that this is a compliance document and you're trying to meet a compliance requirement. So we're shaping the document to allow you to gather data, develop data, parametrics, key safety performance indicators that allow you to be successful in demonstrating to the FAA that not only is your safety assurance program working, your safety policy is working, you're meeting your safety objectives, safety controls are effective, so that you can ensure that you don't have any accidents or safety concerns or any type of unplanned loss. So another one is minimizing foreign objects, debris, damage by implementing rigorous FOD prevention programs inspections. So you would develop a FOD prevention program and then audit it, and then also, again, we checked it every month. They're doing FOD walkdowns, they're putting tools away, we have a tool accountability program. Whatever you're using, and no matter how in-depth it is, it could be a one-pager. You don't need a real in-depth one. And this stuff's all on the internet. Boeing provides a whole system on FOD prevention program. The FAA probably has too. I didn't use theirs when I was working as a director of safety. And then reducing bird strikes through wildlife hazard. You would work with the airport on that. You would report anything unless you're going out to Little Diomede because they don't want to know anymore, because they know it's a bird rookery with 5 million birds and there's nothing they can do about it. They'll let you know if they don't want you to report, because when I started reporting on Little Diomede when I was working with Evergreen, the ladies in Ohio who run the program told me to stop reporting. There you go. You need to go in and tailor it when you get done. And so this was just a short and quick on using ChatGPT to help you write a safety policy for your aviation entity. And but again, go in, edit it, and make sure it meets your needs and fits what you're doing. And so this is Kevin Sebbeck, Chief Safety Officer at S3.
Thank you for listening.